We turn now to demographic and social indicators. Demography is the study of population. The population of Western Europe and Eastern Europe combined, as I described it to you, is about 550 million people. The population of the EU, which is the European Union, is about 440 million people. Obviously, every country in Western and Eastern Europe is not a member of the European Union. And the population of Europe, which means every place from the Ural Mountains in Russia all the way to Iceland, including Turkey, that would be about 830 million people. Now we look at some social indicators. Europe is one of the most densely populated places on Earth, especially Western Europe. But it has the slowest growing population for any region on the planet, which means they are adding people to those numbers at the slowest rates. In fact, many countries in Europe have what's called ZPG, which is zero population growth. And in fact, some countries have negative population growth. In other words, the population is going down in some countries. It's because largely Europeans do not have a lot of children anymore. At the same time, European countries for a region enjoy the longest life expectancy of any place on Earth. The only thing that competes with that would really be the Japanese. They have the lowest infant mortality rates in the world, which means the likelihood that your child will die by its first birthday. And Europe has the oldest average age population in the world. One of the things you cannot help but notice when you're in Europe is that it is a very adult population. There are not a lot of children running around. Other places in the world you go to, you see children everywhere. This is just not the case with Europe. How did it come to this? Well, the very famous Angela Merkel said Europe, and she meant, of course, the EU, accounts for about 7% of the world's population, 25% of the world's economic output, and 50% of the global social spending. Essentially, every country in Europe has universal health care of some sort. Most countries pay for education all the way through completion of your college degree. Most countries have some version of a social security system, and they have very strong welfare and unemployment systems. All of those things cost money. Most Americans would probably bristle at the tax rates that one finds in Europe. At the same time, it's hard to argue with the slow growth of population, the longest life expectancies, the lowest infant mortality rates, and the oldest average age population.